Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Honest Field Guide podcast. I'm JinJa Birkenbeuel. I am the host and creator, and I am here today to talk with a very special guest that I haven't talked to in a couple years. But before we get to that, I just want to thank you for coming, because you could be anywhere you want in the world, but you've decided to come here and listen to the Honest Field Guide. I would love it if you would like, follow, and share this podcast with everyone you know. Please do that. And then if you would please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. And I'm actually not sure how reviews work on Spotify, but I think you can leave a review on Spotify, or at least a thumbs up. That would be fantastic for me and my guests as well. So first of all, I have to sort of predicate this conversation a little bit, because this is the first time I have ever brought a guest back on my show. Like, I've never done that before. Because I don't know, I haven't really felt compelled to do it. I loved everybody I talked to, and everybody told the story they had to tell. And, you know, everybody's, I guess, changing in their lives and doing new things. But this particular person it's like, there's like a sea change from where this person was then to where they are now. And I have been following this amazing young man online since 2020. And really just watched him blossom as an entrepreneur, as a public speaker, as a relationship maker. Like, he's just doing so many great things. And I thought, you know what, if anyone is coming back to my show, it's going to be him, right? It's going to be him, because he went through a lot in the pandemic. He went through a lot. We all went through a lot. But in particular, this young man, when I first talked to him, he was in high school, and he was about to be graduating senior. And he has had several businesses at the time, sold a couple, and, everything changed for him in 2020 because we were in a pandemic and everything shut down. He didn't even have an opportunity for a live graduation. He didn't get to say goodbye to his friends. He didn't get to travel to the foreign countries he was going to be traveling with. He didn't get to go on vacation with his parents. But he was still running his business. He was like, you know what? Ain't nothing stopping me. I'm still going to, get my businesses going. So I really wanted to have him come back because I want to know what's happened. Because you know what? A lot has changed with me since the pandemic. So I'm going to read the bio that I actually read back in 2020. And I know that my guest is going to have, some feedback around this, because it's not the way it was. It's not that way anymore. But here we go. So Matt Burzec, who I'm talking with today, is an entrepreneur. He started Kicks of Chicago back in 2018 while he was at a summer coding program in San Francisco. Kicks of Chicago is a custom shoe business that creates hand-painted sneakers, specializing in splatter art, design prints, and cartoon themes. Everything Kicks creates is hand-painted, original, and done carefully with many hours invested in each project. Recently, the brand partnered up with a sneaker consignment shop, League Ready, to extend their service throughout the store. Matt started this company because he wanted to make custom shoes for himself and his roommates, because when they wanted to purchase online, they were too expensive. So he decided to take action and try it himself, successfully selling the first pair he created. For this first purchase, Kicks of Chicago began growing from there, and the business allows him to put his combined love for art and sneakers into one activity. And Matt, I want to welcome you back to the Honest Field Guide podcast. Now that you've read this, what do you have to say for yourself now? Does it still sound relevant to you?
Yeah. So first off, I want to just thank you for having me back. I appreciate it, man. And, cause you were the first, I think, podcast that had me on for my business. So I appreciate you having me back a few years later. And, no, most of it's still relevant. Still started for the same reason. Still do custom hand painted stuff. I've extended my line to, I use leather stuff now. I use fabrics. I use more shoelace stuff. I use rope laces and stuff. So I extended that. I don't work with League Ready anymore because they kind of shut down during COVID, and then they moved their location and stuff. So it got a little harder. And then, we just have grown to work with more celebrities now. We've worked with other brands though, instead of League Ready. So no, we've just been doing a little bit more, and then also started another thing on the side, to kind of work with the shoe stuff that I'm doing right now. So
let me back up a little bit. So first of all, the last time I talked to you, you were in your house, in your bedroom, and now you're in college, and behind you is your dorm. So yeah, that's like a big difference. And you have matured. Your face is older, not like older looking, but your expression, your entire thing is, you're not in high school anymore. I mean, what was that transition like for you in I mean, we're still in the pandemic when you went to college. And where are you in college? Are you at University of Wisconsin? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm at a University of Wisconsin-Madison right now. So yeah, no, it was right before college when we last talked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
What is kind of, what's your kind of outlook now? Like when you were graduating, you were excited to be going to University of Wisconsin. I think you said you were still going to be playing basketball. I know you were going to still be running your business, which obviously you've done. But what was that transition like for you? I mean, because you didn't come in as a normal high schooler. I mean, you came in with a business. So you were kind of like, I feel like in some ways I'm like, did you even need to go to college? Like what has changed in your mindset around college now that you're in it and you have a business and, I don't even know what your major is. What are you majoring in? Give me some sort
I'm
of,
majoring in
go ahead.
yeah. So I'm majoring in finance and marketing, a little double major right there. The transition was it was a really weird one because I was one of the students that decided to go on campus for my freshman year, just because I wanted my own space. I kind of wanted to get the experience, wanted to meet people that were also kind of like you could say quote unquote risk takers, or like wanted to socialize even though there's a pandemic going on. So I kind of wanted to be part of that group. And also I had my brother, but like 2 weeks into college, I got COVID or whatever, so we got put into isolation dorms, right? And then I had the option to either go back to my normal dorm, whatever, with my roommate, or I could go with my brother who had a apartment off campus, but he had a living room. So I ended up living my first semester in college in my brother's living room, and that's where I kind of ran everything from. But no, it's a lot different. It's a lot more peaceful here in college because I like right now I have a single dorm, so I don't have roommates. So I essentially kind of just turned into my workshop with all the shoes. Like I have 100 like shoes in this place right now.
Can you turn the camera around so we can see it, or is it like? Let me see.
Yeah, like I have.
Oh my goodness.
Shoes everywhere, boxes on boxes.
I mean, how did you manage to get a room on your own well, no, you're not a freshman anymore. I mean, you didn't have, so you had a roommate as a freshman, but then you went with your brother. I mean, you have to ask for to live alone. They don't just give you that.
Yeah. And they, cause if you come back to second year, they kind of give you like more priority for it. So, I mean, I had a single room sophomore year, and then I'm in my junior right now. And then next year I decided to get an apartment because I think it was time to get an apartment because like, a lot of like shoes and clothes started piling up. So I just wanted to get more space.
So okay, so you're in college and you're running a business. What is it like to run? I mean, would you consider your business a full-time business? I mean, what's it like running a business while you're in school? How do you even make that work?
It's a lot of like sleepless nights, and unfortunately, because you have to balance like today I have 3 classes. Like right after this, like as soon as we finish, I gotta go to class at 3. So I had 2 classes this morning, and then in between classes, I do work. So I either ship stuff, I do a little painting, I do a little sketching between classes, and then as soon as I finish with all classes, I just get straight to shoes until I just can't no more, and then I'll do like a homework assignment right before bed or something to kind of just finish off the day. And then once in a while, I'll take like a day to just study for finals and exams. So just a lot of time management, and then just really prioritizing the business. Though unfortunately, that's like the main priority, even though school is like supposedly the main priority. But no, definitely the main priority. So, and it's been going well. I've been handling school pretty well, and then obviously the business, as you see, has been doing pretty well, and I'm hopefully just keeps going really well.
So, with your business, is school informing your business, or is your business informing school? Like are you learning new things, or are you listening to teachers and saying that is absolutely not right? I mean, like, what is it like to be running a full-time business and learning at the same time about finance and marketing? I mean, I feel like you've got to be acing your classes, right? I mean, are you learning anything? I just don't understand. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, education to me right now it's a crapshoot. It's like, why am I going to school to learn when I can do these things on my own without going to get a degree for it, right? And you're kind of doing both. And I just need you to contextualize for me how this is actually helping you, because you were already advanced when you graduated from high school. You were already ready to hit the ground running and start a business without going to school, but you chose to go to college.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff that you learn in school is unfortunately like more outdated, but the concepts are still there. So like for example, I'll give you a few examples. Marketing class, they like do a lot of stuff with like email marketing and like TV ads and stuff like that. Stuff like that doesn't apply to my business because mostly social media ran and stuff. But the concepts are still there, so it's cool to learn about the concepts, but it's not really needed for me. that's why there's a difference between kind of like uh college classes and then like acing them compared to like what I'm doing. So like it's sometimes a lot different things, but like stuff like the finance and accounting classes, they still apply. Like I still need to do taxes, I still need to do accounting, I need to do costs, analysis and stuff like that for my business to kind of figure out. So it works, but like it's still I feel like different because I'm doing more stuff on the fly, more like shortcut hands. I'm using like programs. I can look stuff up, but like on exams I can't do that stuff. But doesn't it doesn't really apply as much as people think the college and what I'm doing because it's like such a new business. Like we don't really talk about custom shoe businesses or like clothing businesses in college. You know what I'm saying? We talk about you know financial accounting businesses, retail stuff like that. So it's just
Interesting. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just thinking, you're talking about the concepts are helpful. What concepts are helpful for you? I guess I'm trying to figure out what is that concept. I mean, I love that you're getting financial literacy. Like that
Yeah.
is so important, understanding how to make spreadsheets and how to do, cost projections and analysis and how to buy products and figure out what your profit is so that you're not having too much stuff. Like I'm hoping you're learning that kind of thing. I mean, the finance is like, I wish I had learned that. But the other things you're saying, the concepts are good, but the execution's outdated. What does that mean?
So like in marketing, like you still need to build a connection, like emotional with the customer. You definitely want to, there's different marketing techniques of like how to kind of nudge consumers to buy things. So
Okay.
like, the same kind of like, marketing hasn't really changed in the concept of like how you're supposed to do it, tailor to customer emotions, kind of what they need, kind of like, price cost, like, oh, make something cost a lot more, make them feel like it's luxury and stuff like that. So stuff like that just hasn't changed, but just how you do it. Now instead of doing it with an ad in like on a store front or something, you gotta do that on a IG post or you gotta do it on a Facebook post or something like that. Or like through videos, like, so like it's still there, but it's just you gotta like really reapply stuff.
I mean, on the one hand, I'm excited that you're learning something. On the other hand, I'm discouraged because I feel like, why are they teaching that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why are they not like, where in the school can you learn modern marketing, advertising, and media buying experiences? Like, where do you do that? Do you just, like what school is offering that? I mean, there are schools actually, Matt, that do combine what you're doing with business. I just, like if I think about some of the schools in New York, for example, that's all they focus on, right? I mean, the New York fashion schools, that's what they do. Some of the schools in California do that as well. Some of the art schools. Like if you go to an art school that has an entrepreneurship program with it, like literally an art school, you can do all the things you're describing, and they might be a little bit more up to date, but I'm not even convinced they're up to date, honestly. Even the art schools, like I feel like they're not up to date on technology. Do you feel like you're getting a value out of it though? I mean, is it sort of the concept of needing a degree because that's what your parents want you to have? You know what I mean? Like there's always that push between, I'm supposed to have a college degree because that's the narrative that I was grown up to believe, versus other people that really didn't go get a college degree and they're just out there killing it. I mean, what is the benefit of what you're doing? Because I mean, you and I are in the same business at this point. I feel like I can say that now because you're a man. Like you were a kid, like you were in high school last time we talked, right? I'm like, okay, I've been in business for 20 something years, and Matt's been in since he was 3. Fine, but running game at the Catholic school, selling origami and things like that. But like, what is the real true benefit for you outside of financial literacy? Because you can get that anywhere.
Yeah, so the majority of the reason I'm going is just kind of to like have like a plan B, like a backup. Yeah, having 2 degrees would be nice in case something did happen, or I don't want to do this anymore. Just kind of have like kind of have like a safety net in a sense, and definitely for my parents because they're obviously uh they're Europeans, so they have that mindset like, oh, we came to America for you to get an education. So I just want to kind of fulfill that promise. So I'm like, them taking literally that big risk to just come to America and just like get us an education that they didn't get to have. So I definitely want to do that for them and just to have like a safety net essentially. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm almost done. A lot of people tell me like I shouldn't be going. I have like other entrepreneurs that I even work with that started like 6-figure brands that says like today, like I was texting some guy I'm doing some work for. He said just get the degree. Like it doesn't matter how you guys just get it because like at this point you don't really need it. So
Mm-hmm.
I get told like I'm telling you like 4 times a week, 5 times a week. So
Well, you're almost at the finish line. So, I mean, at this point, there's no turning back. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's just no turning back. And, okay. So turning back a little bit. So I love hearing you justify your education. I love the honor and respect that you have for your parents because they obviously poured a lot into you and your brother. And you know, that's just a beautiful way to honor them. It also sounds like you're not sacrificing your dreams of entrepreneurship to honor them. You know, you're still going, you know, 95% and you're young enough that you can manage like sleepless nights. Like I could never do what you're doing right now and like take care of my kids. Like it just wouldn't happen. So I feel like you're not, I don't feel like you're blowing it. Like you're actually, you know, you're living it. You're living what you have to do. And, you know, when you graduate, see what happens. I do want to know. So, okay, Kicks of Chicago was launched before the pandemic hit. And, you know, you were already moving really fast with the business. What has changed in your mind about Kicks of Chicago from 2020 to now, especially because we've gone through a pandemic, right? So your strategies pre-pandemic had to have been different than your strategies during the pandemic, and they have to be different now. And one of the things I want to also mention, and everybody needs to go listen to episode 39, which is the episode that I initially ran with Matt. And it's a very refreshing conversation with a young person, how to start and launch a business online, because he launched the businesses online. So like what has kind of transformed with your thinking around launching businesses and online businesses, given that we've been in a pandemic for 2 years? Because when you launched, there was no pandemic. Like you had a vision of what you were going to do with it, and it had to have changed.
Yeah. So I just launched like a cut and sew clothing brand. So I kind of have to redo the whole process now after the pandemic. But we can get into that later. But for Take Chicago, at least, I'm not sure what plan I gave you before the pandemic, but now like during the pandemic, it ended up being a lot of influencer marketing. We focused, like as you saw probably on my profiles, you've been following a lot of my posts. Like during the last 2 years, as soon as like restrictions started easing and then concerts were able to, you know, kind of happen, a lot of stuff we did was influencer marketing, which was my personal favorite because I love just meeting people. I love meeting celebrities. I love meeting rappers I listen to. So it was fun, but it was a lot of outreach. It was a lot of just flying out to see people. A lot of story posts, a lot of content. We did YouTube videos. You saw everything. We filmed everything. We took pictures of everybody. So a lot of that stuff was super successful for us. So influencer marketing. This past year, around Q4 and like November around Black Friday, we decided to kind of change the strategy. So do a lot less influencer marketing because we've gotten to a level where like we've done so much influencer marketing. Like we literally seen everyone except like Drake and Kanye at this point. Like I've done a lot of the big name rappers that are, doing top 10 in, sales of music. I did, the models, I did some basketball players. So we kind of wanted to shift it to see what other avenues we can do. And that avenue has now turned into doing more advertisements on our page. So we actually started running like Instagram ads, which has, I feel like, converted a little bit better for us. It definitely has gotten us more accelerated growth. We did more advertising on Etsy, for example, as well. So we started buying a little bit more ads on there because we weren't really buying ads. It was we were very competitive with pricing on Etsy, but we weren't making as much as we thought we should. So I decided, I was like, all right, we should I should raise my price a little bit and then run some ads on it so you get better just conversion. So we just been doing a lot of that, and then once in a while we'll have like a celebrity that will reach out to us, so we'll still do them and stuff, but it's just less doing stuff for promotion, but just doing more stuff for like we just want the sale essentially.
Yeah, so, and so let me ask you about that. So all right, so you pivoted from influencer marketing, which you were doing a lot, and you started making money, and so you had some money to actually start running ads because you weren't running ads before. You weren't running any ads.
No,
I remember
we weren't running ads. We were just doing posts, and then we somehow just got in contact with influencers. But now also after we decided to do the ads, we started doing a lot more organic videos. So like the Instagram Reels and TikToks, we started like you could say doubling down because I wasn't doing them up until probably like the last summer. Like last summer, probably midway through the summer, we're like, all right, we gotta start making a TikTok account. We got to start posting on Instagram Reels. So we've been doing that, like, we're trying to post like every day, get a new reel up, new TikTok up, just more organic content, because people have been finding us, like even off the YouTube videos that we're doing with the vlogs, people will still find us from our old like tutorial videos from YouTube. Be like, oh,
Yeah.
I saw this, I couldn't do it. Can you just do it for me? So
I remember
like,
those videos. They're so awesome. I mean, they were really, really fresh. And I kind of feel like you were ahead of your time with that. I really do, because that's all people do now. That's all people do is show how things are done. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So what about your mindset? You're mentioning another business, and I want you to talk about that. But do you still love Kicks of Chicago to the extent that you used to? I mean, is it still sort of something that you're going full force on? Do you feel like you might want to sell it like you sold the other company? I mean, last time we talked about this, the question was, okay, it would be challenging for me to sell the company because I'm the artist, and then you were at the time talking about, employing some other people to help you, make the art of the shoes. Now in my head, I'm like, well, you could still sell the company. You could be an employee of the company that, you sell it to, and they can hire you to make art. Right. So what is your idea around that now? Because you've already sold a business. You sold a business online, another online business you launched before Kicks of Chicago. So you know what that means when I'm asking you about selling.
Yeah. So while we were in like the midst of the influencer marketing era, I would just call it, where we were just like flying out every weekend to a different state. I did get like investors reach out that like, own venture capitalist funds and stuff like that, that wanted to like buy into the business. However, I just didn't think the offer was like reasonable enough, or they wanted like too much of the company, or they didn't want to do what I wanted to do. So I was like, you know what? If they see the vision can be this big, like, then it's gonna be this big in a sense. So I was like, I might as well just take over control myself. Yeah, I'll make probably a few mistakes, but now I've went to these meetings. I've talked to what they think they can do for me. So like, it's like, what's stopping me from doing what they want to do, but a little bit more tailored to what I want. So we did have people wanting to like buy out the place, just the concept, and have me work for it, and me like, be a manager and stuff. But I was like, nah, I don't really want to do that, because I'm still 2, 3, 4 years into it, like really 2.5, 3 years seriously taking this stuff. So if I do like this for a few more years, I can definitely grow it to what I want to, and then I can scale it up. And I did have like a quote unquote employee, but I did test out like having my little brother do like the small stuff, like prepping the shoe, taking care of all the shipping stuff, creating the content. So he would like, do the little stuff, but I would just still do the main part of sketching and painting. So it's definitely possible to hire people to do like the smaller tasks, the kind of like the, just like, how it is, just like the small stuff.
Yep.
And me keeping it just the complex stuff. So we did test that out. It worked pretty well. It's just for me, it was like keeping my little brother motivated, because like, he's a little brother. He wants to hang out with his friends in the summer or whatever. But even like my older brother offered to do it. But right now I have like a graphic designer that helps me with mock-ups. So I'll send them the idea, I'll send them the concept, I'll send them the pictures I want, and they'll just put it on. They'll mock it up on a shoe so I can send it to a client. And then that's really the only person that I work with, like, quote unquote full time, you could say.
So
let me the job a lot easier.
Let me ask you this. So you are an entrepreneur and you can make other businesses. And there's always this, thing with entrepreneurs and small business owners that they really cannot release their businesses that they believe they're still growing. Like, they're just like, they're really like, I can't let go. Do you, like, where's the line for you? You're saying that you have a couple more years that you feel like you can scale it, and maybe at that point you'll reconsider selling. But do you think you might have missed the window for that? I mean, because you are full of ideas. Like, you could have launched another business and, started from scratch. I mean, are you saying that you don't want to sell your business? Is it because you really actually feel like you're going to make way more money? Or is it more like, this is my child that I raised from birth and I'm so attached to this? Or is it this particular business I have, it really does feed a lot of the places in my ego that I need to feed? Like, where is the authentic truth around Kicks of Chicago? And then I want you to pivot to what new business you did launch and why did you do that?
Yeah. So to answer the first question, I would say that the meeting was probably like a year ago today. Like in that time era, it was like around April last year.
Okay.
That's where stuff was like going off. We just did like Little TJ, for example, which was like a really big one for us.
Mm-hmm.
And his son saw my company, and then his son showed obviously his dad or whatever, who was an investor. and then we went to his house, but it was like more of the fact that like we were still in the growing stages. I'm like we just like, started popping off with influencers, and like we had so much stuff lined up, and I was like, if I sell now, like I don't even see like what's gonna happen. And then thank God I didn't, because like we essentially doubled from last year this time ago. You know what I'm saying? So like last year, I don't know, let's say we were doing like, I don't know, I'm just gonna throw some numbers there. Like,
so you're profitable.
Yeah, definitely profitable. Well, like last year we probably did like 75 shoes a month on a good month or whatever. Now we're doing probably like 100 on a normal month, and then doing 150 on like a really good, month. Or like during Black Friday, like Black Friday this year compared to last year, we literally doubled the amount of orders we got.
That's amazing.
And like to the point where we had to like stop orders because we weren't sure if we were going to fulfill them or not, because like I had finals coming up and my brother couldn't help me, and I had, shipping times are kind of still weird. Yeah. And, stuff like that. So
wait, what was still weird?
Shipping times.
Okay, shipping times. Yeah. Supply chain.
Because it's always kind of weird around Black Friday, because like they'll tell you like, oh, it's come Wednesday, but it's come Friday, and then I don't want people mad at me, so I have to play it a little more safe during shipping times on holidays. But it was just like, I knew deep down like we haven't even reached our like peak, and it's to the point where like we're trying to figure out what the peak is, because like, we do want to sell. I kind of want to have a plateau kind of vibe. Now we're like, I'm going up. I kind of want to have it like, okay, we can't like really do more than what we're doing right now. And then so we also hit like a point where I thought Kick Chicago was kind of stable. That kind of lived by itself around that 20K mark of followers. We had the website set up. We had the SE going pretty well. We had everything running pretty smoothly. I thought I was doing pretty good in handling school and Kick Chicago. So I was like, what can I do with all this money that I'm kind of like bringing in from Kick Chicago that like I'm not saving? So it's like, kind of my spend money. And I was like, I kind of want to start this clothing thing, but I don't want to do like the regular clothing stuff where it's like, oh, you just print something on a hoodie. I want to do the pump prints. I want to do the cut and sews, different fabrics. I want to do embroidery, like embroidery patches on jeans and stuff like that. So I want to do, Velcro pants. So I was like, I have all these ideas. I see this stuff online all the time. Other brands doing it that are like, higher up. I was like, let's see if we can do this a little bit more affordable. Let's see if I can find manufacturers that can do it for me. I like a certain aesthetic. I like the angel kind of vibe aesthetic, the old English kind of aesthetic. So I was like, around Black Friday, I was like, oh, geez, the first, time to launch my first, kind of, I would say like my professional, more official clothing brand. I know I told you I started a clothing brand back in the day, but I was like, print on demand stuff. This is more like pre-order stuff where like custom made, like really custom made, where like you need like people that know what they're doing. So we launched that. It's called Broken Order. It's a clothing brand. And we just it's kind of more like a creative project for me, where it's like I'm doing stuff that I want to wear, stuff that I don't see, but I want. I kind of want to do stuff that's more creative than just, just shirts and hoodies. I want to do like hoodies that got, full zip ups and stuff on the hoods, and, what I'm saying, like puff print, stuff that just like you wouldn't find in a store regular. It's just like,
do you have something right now you can show me?
Yeah, I do actually.
I want to see this. It sounds amazing. It sounds like something I want to buy.
Yeah, it's so we just launched these. We're still in that kind of hoodie phase, because but we got more stuff coming, like the next drop. So it's like,
oh my goodness,
you see how like it's cut and sewed, like this is cut and sewed. The hoodie's different. Normally it's just like a plain black hoodie, but we did that.
Wow.
You have the tribal print.
Tell me what you did on this. Tell me, like, what did you do on this hoodie?
So everything's made from scratch. We got sleeve prints in the tribal pattern, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We got this lettering. This is a sample, but this ended up being a puff print on the words. Then we have the background tribal print that goes from the sleeve. Then we have an entirely cut and sew pockets, and then cut and sew hoodie. And then we have 4 colorways of this. So just stuff like that.
Wow.
Even
and
bringing
so, like,
back,
where did you learn? Where did you learn all this terminology? Like, where did you figure out how to do all these things? Because this is a whole nother level from finding white Air Jordan 1s and painting them with, fabric paint. I mean, you just really, like, I remember from our earlier conversation, you love doing research.
Yeah.
You're really into research.
Yeah,
is that what you had to do while you were in college to do this? I mean, this sounds wild to me. It sounds wild.
Yeah, so that's a lot more complex than what I was doing before, because I got to talk to people overseas, different time zones, shipping times, like even like sending money. Like normally, you go on like a custom ink and just pay, but now I got to go through like a MoneyGram, or I got to go through Writtenly, you know what I'm saying, or I gotta do wire transfer. So it's a lot more, and like, you know, there's a trust factor. Like, can I trust these guys overseas? You know, stuff
So
like
how
that.
did you I mean, how did you find all these people? Like, were you just doing Google searches? I mean, did you have
No, it's
relationships or what?
so I had a friend who helped me who started a clothing brand. And I kind of got inspiration from him because he started a clothing brand like probably like as well 3 years ago, but his stuff took off probably like a year ago
Oh,
in the
excellent.
summer. I was like, he's like, yeah, like I told him like I had the idea to get back into clothing because I want to do obviously shoes. The only next thing is like do clothing to it because people were always telling me like do clothing or whatever to go with the shoes and or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I sell like Kick Chicago, like, you know, shirts and stuff like, but that's just for me to kind of wear with the rappers. So like, you know, in the picture it's like branded and
Yep.
stuff. You know, I sold a few here and there because why, like if people ask me, I'm not gonna say no. But I never did like a collection launch for Kick Chicago for real. But I was like, okay, I want to do this stuff, but I'm hanging out with all these rappers, and I see them wearing the Louis V, I see them wearing, you know, the Rue, I see them wearing the gallery department. It's all cool stuff that like it's obviously a lot more expensive and not accessible to people, but like it's still streetwear. It's like luxury streetwear, and I was like, I kind of want to do that. And like, you know, I'm always wearing my shirts around them, and I had like, you know, rappers ask me stuff like, I'm doing clothing, like, can I do custom clothing for them? I was like, you know, I got my friend doing it, I got rappers asking for it, I love it myself, I've done it in the past, I want to get back into it, I got ideas, so it's kind of like the perfect storm of me, you know, starting something back up again, but doing it on a higher level, more professional level. You know, now we're doing like actual photo shoots, we're creating content, we're running ads, you know, we're linking Facebook to Instagram, we're doing all this extra stuff that we weren't doing before. We're, you know, we're doing a hype up week to the launch nowadays, you know, stuff like that like we weren't doing in the past, you know.
My goodness. I
So
mean, it's just so much. It's completely amazing. And I think, you know, I mean, being in college when you're doing all this, all I want you to do is hurry up and graduate so you can so you can go all in. Cause like, I'm like, if this is your all in, you ain't even seen nothing yet when you get your degree and you're actually free because you're not free right now. You know what I mean? But it does sound like business is good. It sounds like you have a really amazing network of people that are, you know, helping you, you know, strategize and like, you know, here's what I've done and here's how you can do some of the things that I've done. And I think that having that network is important. I want to understand, how did you build that network in a pandemic? Because the reality is I feel like we've really only been out of this pandemic for like a year. We're heading into our second year, right? So how did you build this network while you were in college? People have trouble networking, Matt. I mean, they just are scared and, you know, afraid to like reach out and talk to people and shake hands, you know? I mean, and you really couldn't shake hands. I know we talked about that, but you couldn't shake hands. But what are your strategies for networking? What can you tell someone that's, you know, thinking about starting a business or in the business now and they're really struggling to like get hold of things? Like, what do you do right now? Are you like just hanging out on Discord and like Instagram and talking to people? Like, what are you doing? How did you do it?
yeah, so a lot of it comes through like past relationships. So like obviously
Okay.
I grew up in Chicago and I played a lot of basketball. So during the start of the pandemic, before we went to college, I decided to kind of help my friend out, and he was kind of getting into videography. He's like the guy who films everything for me now,
Okay.
like all the trips. He always comes to the trips with me. So you know, we obviously were friends for a long time. And then I got him into video, and then he started continuing videoing, and he started his business to start pandemic to do video, right? So I picked up the camera as well, but I did photos to kind of complement his skill set. So he would do video, I'll do photos for clients, whatever. And then we started off, I would say, which was a key part in kind of learning how to network, was do the photography stuff because we go on photo shoots, but we would do a lot of outreach. So it'd be like, oh, since there's a pandemic, a lot of the workouts that, you know, pro players, college players have to do are going to be private. So private, it's a one-on-one setting. It's just us and the client. So we started doing photo shoots and like reaching out to like the top trainers in the area and seeing if we could just like come in and just take photos for you for free or whatever. And obviously my client, Rafi would, my friend Rafi would charge them or whatever, but I wouldn't. I would just come there and network, meet people. So I'd be meeting all these NBA players, all these pro trainers, all these top college players during the pandemic. And like I could hoop. So they know I could hoop because they would see me because I played at a, you know, nationally recognized high school, obviously. So they
And was
knew
that, was
like
this
my
2021 or 2020 or both between those 2 years?
both. We did it
Okay.
through that whole year.
Okay.
And like I even came to Wisconsin the first semester. I was still doing photography stuff with the basketball team here just to kind of get like meet people and stuff. Like I would just come into workouts like off campus to like just shoot stuff, meet the players and stuff. So we were doing this the whole pandemic. And then I started making money while I was taking photos, while I was doing the custom shoes. Like if I was doing custom shoes, I was going with a photo shoot to meet people, to kind of network. And, we were meeting all these pro players, these trainers and all that stuff. And they would be like, yo, can we get some shoes? Let's do some shoe stuff. And then they would post and I would meet people. And then network started growing. And then when I got here to school, I decided to do more outreach. So I literally just started DMing people that, had a bigger presence online than I did. So like any low key rappers in Chicago that were up and coming, I would try to hit them up, even big ones. And then if I lucked out on the big ones, they would respond to me. And then I would like literally go above and beyond to give them value. So if they needed a shoe, I would make sure they would have it within like days, or I would have like mock-ups for them made. I would do like, yo, you want to change this, or you want to go above and beyond, like add new laces and stuff like that. So I would go above. And then I would even go as far as going from Wisconsin to Chicago to drop them off so I can meet them in person, build a real connection. They could see my face. I could talk to them. We could chill at their house, And then from there, I was doing that like nonstop for like a few months. And then I had big name rappers be like, yo, you're doing so much for me. You're getting these jackets done within like 2-3 days of when I need them for my video. They're like, you want to come on set with me? I would come on set with them. I'll meet the other rappers that are having a featured video. I meet the main videographers for the music videos that own the big companies. I'll meet the label managers. I'll meet the A&Rs that are on set. And that's kind of how the network starts building, because like you go above and beyond for like the client, and the client makes sure you're taken care of. He wants to show your work to other people. Like I've been flew out to LA for just doing a pair of shoes for a rapper before. And then from that trip, I meet 3 other rappers that also want shoes because they like my work. And then just like that snowball effect that goes in. So
wow. So that's a lot of in-person networking. Are you starting digitally first? I mean, I just want to understand, like, what is your digital networking like now? Not necessarily looking back, but how are you networking? Because when I run workshops, I always stress understanding how to write, how to communicate, how to introduce yourself when you're on chat environments, things like that. What is your process and strategy for online networking?
So it has changed, I would say. So before, it would be a lot of DMs, it would be a lot of emails, and you just have to do cold calls most of the time. Or like let's say if I want to work with a pro player, right, for example, but I know I have a teammate who played AAU with them. I would ask my teammate, yo, what would be the best way to reach out to X, Y, and Z? Is there any way you're having a workout maybe, or you're seeing this person, like, can I come and meet you? So I would just shoot them a text, shoot them a DM, see who I know who's following them, and kind of, politely ask, kind of like let them know what I'm trying to do with that person. Like, oh, I'm trying to get my pair on NBA court. I think Taylor would be a great addition. Like, can you help me? I'll help you out. Maybe get you some shoes. Maybe I'll, just like we can do something. Like, let's see what happens. And it's just a lot of, you have to like be polite. Get straight to the point. Like I know back in the day when I was doing like for Chicago, when I was doing outreach, I was sending like paragraphs and stuff, like introducing myself. But now I'm telling you, it's I make it as short and sweet as possible, because like once you get their attention, then you can talk about details. And then when you see them, or if they ask for more details about you, then you just give it to them. So it's just like they see your page, and also it's helped now that like I have a bigger digital footprint with like, more followers. Like I look more established. Before I was reaching out to people with 3,000-4,000. Now I'm reaching out to people with 20,000. They see my work. They see I'm legit. They see all the people I've worked with before in the past. They see that other rappers are following me. They're like, okay, this guy's legit. So it's been a lot easier. The dynamic has changed, but you definitely got to start small, because people always ask me, you can't get the Drakes first. You got to get the smaller people. You got to get the, hometown heroes in a sense. So it has changed in the past, but it's still the same concept, be polite. You have to do a cold call, because you have to outreach, because if they don't know you,
right,
how are they gonna get to know you?
So you have it sounds like you have a lot of courage. You have a LinkedIn profile now, because if you just type your name Matt Burzec in now, you have a whole rap sheet of success. You know what I mean? And when I saw the LinkedIn profile, I'm like, okay, well, he's really in business. Do you use that platform at all for business, or no? What's your LinkedIn profile about?
The only reason I got LinkedIn because I had to do it for like a Gen Viz class last year.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then once in a while when I'm like bored in class, I'll go on LinkedIn and see what's up, and then obviously people follow me, I'll follow them back, just because it doesn't hurt, because eventually I'm gonna need to use LinkedIn for something, and also I need to use LinkedIn because funny enough, I actually partnered with LinkedIn on a shoe collection we did. We did, I believe, like 50 pairs for LinkedIn in the summer for all the executives and all the executives in like the company. So we ended up doing
Oh my
like
God,
50
that's
pairs for
amazing.
LinkedIn. Yeah, so I need a LinkedIn because they wanted to shout me out on LinkedIn.
I mean,
But
so like when I think about, okay, so, I mean, LinkedIn's one of my favorite platforms, and I know it's kind of feels like, old fashioned or something to you. And I remember a lot of people just don't really know how to use it for business. They think of it as a platform, just like if you're looking for a job. But if I were to come up, I mean, first of all, LinkedIn, the reason it's the first hit on a search for you is because LinkedIn spends a lot of money to ensure that they come up first when people are doing vanity searches or searching for other people. They want to make sure that they're number one. So just keep that in mind because, the more you can put on LinkedIn, the more results you'll get out of LinkedIn. But the other piece to me is, if you were commissioned to do, these 50 things for LinkedIn, I mean, the way that I would look at it is I'd say, well, I need to hit up all 50 people if I can get their names and follow up and connect with them on LinkedIn, and also connect with the person that brought me into LinkedIn and maybe ask them a question the way you asked the rapper. I really wanted to just follow back up. It's been several months since we worked together. I really love that assignment. I had a really great time doing those 50 shoes. The question would be, what is another step that I might be able to take to learn more about the kind of work that you're doing there that looks like what we already have done. I'd like to do more. I mean, like I would be hitting that because the people on LinkedIn, it's a corporate space, it's a business space. Everybody there is just trying to make money and they're trying to figure out how to network and things like that. There's a lot of cold calling that goes on, but you have a direct connection, or at least you have the ecosystem of the person that, called you in the first place. I don't know if they're still there. And then network, because people on LinkedIn, they spend a lot of money, and a lot of the corporations are all connected with each other because it's a closed kind of circular economy there. So, for example, one of the people you made the shoe for, they might be, heading up some initiative at Coca-Cola or something now. And then that Coca-Cola opportunity might turn into something like LinkedIn with more money or more relationships or a bigger network. So I definitely wouldn't sleep on that opportunity you had at LinkedIn, because the other thing around LinkedIn, is, they're owned by Microsoft, right? And they've integrated new technology in Microsoft with with their ChatGPT product that they've, I think, have a majority stake in. So it's really a great place to expand a little bit further, right? And I just think about a lot of entrepreneurs that started small like you did, and now they're doing really, really super huge things. And that actually leads me to another question for you. Why would you what if you got a phone call from one of the major corporations? They said, "Hey, we want you to come in here and be like the global head of product." Would you take it, or would you say, "No, I want to just keep doing my own business"?
yeah, so LinkedIn also like obviously I was obviously aware of the opportunities that pretty much working with LinkedIn could bring. But they did end up saying, like, if I ever needed a job in marketing or something, like, hey, hit the line, we got you. So it was dope knowing I have like, just from like doing that client, getting paid for it, and then also getting essentially a job offer at the end of the day was super dope. And a lot of the stuff from LinkedIn did lead to more orders coming in. We did more orders for like someone who was working at the company, their like friend ended up buying a bunch of stuff for her brand and stuff. So, and I'm still getting like, I remember I still had we did the shoes for LinkedIn for the executives, but a lot of the employees wanted shoes, so I had a lot of like
Yes.
individual orders as well from
Yep.
there. So the whole LinkedIn ordeal was like such a great opportunity in the summer. So yeah, so we did a lot of work based off the work we did with LinkedIn, because LinkedIn stuff turned into employee customer stuff, small businesses related to family members of the people that worked at LinkedIn. And then from there, since LinkedIn posted, we had other big corporations reaching out to me like this week alone. So we're doing a lot of corporate stuff. That's another reason we changed from influencer marketing to corporate, because obviously the payment's a lot better, a lot more flexible, the orders are larger, and it just makes more sense to work with businesses and big corporate money that's like they essentially have infinite money. I'm telling you, like, it's crazy. Like, not to like, it just,
I'm aware.
The perks are cooler. So it's like, that's another reason why we pivot into running ads as well, because we want to look a bit more professional.
Okay.
Like we redid the website. I know you've probably seen it, to kind of feature more of the work that we did for higher, bigger clients and stuff, rather than just being, you can just buy shoes. No, we kind of focus on that branding on the website. We changed the whole Instagram kind of layout with the highlights and stuff, kind of made it
So
more
are you going to be, so you're still building your fashion business, right? I mean,
yeah.
is that ready for prime time at this point? Or are you still kind of, working out all the details to make sure that there's a seamless, supply chain flow?
We're working on that, but it's just like we are at such an early stage where like we still gotta give a lot more attention to it. Like we're only at like I think we just hit like 4K followers, so we're still like in the thousand range. So like we're definitely focusing a lot of stuff on that. We're obviously also spending a lot more money on that, like part of my like that side of the business because like we're in such early stages and like the approach is a lot different on the clothing stuff than to the shoes. Like with the clothing stuff, we're not doing any influencer marketing. We're going straight to ads and just focusing on ads
and so
content.
Tell me about that.
Because
why are you going straight to ads? And like, are you only focusing on Instagram? Or are you also looking at YouTube Shorts and TikTok ads and, Google search ads? Like what does your ad environment look like? Because buying ads right now, spending money on ads takes some courage because, there's just so many changes happening in the technology and some of the ads are not delivering because there's just a lot of reasons behind that. But what's your reasoning behind going straight to ads and skipping past influencer marketing, because that obviously worked for you?
Yeah, but I feel like it's a lot more different because like a lot of people, like to be honest, obviously a lot of people have clothing brands, right? And a lot of clothing brands are trying to do influencer marketing, and they're trying to do a lot of content stuff. So I feel like what my friend did was focus a lot on the advertising and how he ran ads, and I really liked how he did it because it was like a lot more seamless. He doesn't have to do the trips, he doesn't have to do the outreach, he doesn't have to do this and that. And also, I was getting like, it's tiring to like, because a lot of these rappers be on their own time. A lot of these shows be at random cities. They don't, or you got to wait for them to come to Chicago or whatever. So it was just a hassle. And I don't want to do that stuff. So I want to take a different approach. And I saw my friend's method kind of work. And I kind of wanted to, duplicate that method while also adding the more organic content. Because he didn't even do TikTok. He just focused really heavily on Instagram. And I wanted to do my own style of that. So, I don't know. I feel like I want to change it up. I think for the clothing brand, it makes sense in the early stages to do ads. Once I start getting bigger to the point of like where Kick Chicago is, then all the rappers will be kind of like more willing to wear it without me having to even ask. Because I even noticed that with some brands like Gallery Department, like nobody was wearing Gallery Department until someone liked it on Instagram or saw someone wear it, and they started putting it on, and then Gallery Department getting those photos. And then those photos started going viral, and then other rappers started doing it by themselves. Now they have a more high-end clientele. They can charge more or whatever. So I want to do that. But I also do have, obviously, relationships that I've sent out products, and I had, people that do follow me be like, yo, I want to grab this. I want to grab that. So I do have, like, rappers and influencers who are purchasing the products. So I don't even have to reach out at this point because I already have that built-in relation because I already did shoot for them. So they know, like, I'm valid. I'm official. Like, I know what I'm doing. The quality is great. So I don't have to do so much on my end that I did at Kickstarter because the foundation is either built or I kind of want it to be built by itself rather than me having to, rush over there and like hand it or, make sure I'm selling my product. I want the product sold for myself.
So, did you set up a holding company or are you just sort of each company's individual?
Right now,
how did you, without giving away anything proprietary or private, but how are you managing the actual back end business stuff? Because are you doing that yourself or do you have an accounting firm? Do you have banking relationship? Like, do you have all these pieces where you're able to kind of not worry about that?
Yeah. So like, for example, like I'm about to go see my accountant this Friday for like the taxes and stuff like that. So right now,
you didn't have that. I don't remember you having that when I talked to you in 2020. Not. Like you didn't have all that stuff.
No, I did not. I had to because it was starting to get like, obviously you have like, your website providers and your PayPal's or whatever, just like saying like, oh, you need tax forms. And I'm like, oh, what's the tax form? So then I have to figure out how to do taxes. And like my mom obviously helped me and my dad.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's changed because I had to register the business in Illinois or whatever now, and I got
all the things
each year now. And, I gotta get all the forms ready. You know how it is.
Yes, so it's totally wild, right? It sounds like you have that kind of. I mean, that's sort of like learning by trial. Like I feel like what I mean, because I remember when I first opened my business, and I was, of course, anticipating success, but I really hadn't thought about the tax implications around success. And I remember my accountant said, we cannot have your business set up this way anymore. You have to have an S corporation. Like, this is too much money for you to be running on a Schedule C. And I realized my tax liability then was, he said, this is what you would have paid had you been an S corp versus what you're going to pay. I'm like, oh no, we definitely need to make a change, because like I'm not spending that much money on taxes next time when I make double this what I made last time. It was just like one of those crazy things. So it sounds like you've made a lot of changes to your business strategy. I mean, you're not afraid to quickly launch new things. It sounds like this new business you're putting together is still a work in progress. It sounds like you're kind of, putting out some money for this business to sort of see if it works, which I think is fantastic. I mean, how do you even get the courage to spend money? I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't want to spend money. They're afraid to spend money, or they don't know how to spend it, and they're not taking risks with money. It doesn't sound like that's you. Like, you're just willing to take some risks with spending. I mean, you did it in the beginning. You're giving away things for free, which is basically taking a risk with money. You're using your own money to get people to buy your product. So, I mean, that doesn't sound like an issue at all for you. You're just like, look, whatever it takes, I believe in this, right?
Yeah. So obviously I didn't want to start the brand for a little bit, only because I wanted to make sure like the money I had saved up was enough money where I'm comfortable to kind of like, because right now we're burning money, I would say, with Broken Order, in a way, with all the sample costs, with all the ads that we're like just testing, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, with like, you just like, there's a lot of money that goes into starting a brand that like, it's just launch costs in a sense. Because, sometimes you have to pay for some design, sometimes you got to pay for some backups, another website hosting, more ads, you know how it is. It just cost adds up. And obviously I waited until Kick Chicago was kind of like stable at that 20K mark, where I thought it was like, I was comfortable. Like, if something happens, I always got Kick Chicago to like focus on. And I'm still focused on Kick Chicago, don't get me wrong, but I also want to put a little bit more love into this new brand. But definitely, didn't want to do it until saved up. I'm definitely burning some money, but I also know it's going to pay off, because I did burn money with Kick Chicago in the beginning, because obviously some of these trips we had to get out there to a different state by ourselves, and we were burning money, but I knew it would pay off, and it has paid off, thankfully. Some of the trips, like some trips we also would like burn money and we wouldn't make any money, because like maybe the shout out didn't convert, or we didn't get enough good content to post, but we had that experience of, okay, everything's not going to hit. We're going to be fine if everything doesn't hit, as long as we just, stay persistent and like actually just stay level headed. Like, okay, we lost this much money. Now we just kind of get back to work, get that 1 or 2 weeks going back, how like, normal schedule, don't do anything crazy, get back to like nice even area where like we're comfortable, and then we can go do another risk. You know what I'm saying? Because we wouldn't do like, let's say we did an influencer marketing campaign, right? And we lost, let's say, I don't know, I'm gonna throw some random numbers. Let's say we lost $500 on the trip, with the cost and everything that happened, or like something didn't pan out how it was supposed to pan out, or how it was promised, right? Then we would go back to work for like a week or two, and we would like kind of, in a sense, relax on the trips, or relax on influencer marketing, until we kind of like, okay, I think it's time. Let's try this one more time. Let's see if this one pays off. The next trip we'd go on, we'd make $1,000. We'll be plus 1,000. So we'd be like, okay, we're good. We got plus 1,000. We can go next week. We don't have to wait, and stuff like that. So that's how the momentum, we kind of just like, we kind of felt the momentum, how it was going, and we based it off that.
And the we is your videographer.
Yeah, so it mostly me. I say we a lot, but it's sometimes my videographer goes, sometimes he doesn't, but most of the time he did go back in the day, because it would help him, because he would get footage, he would get content that he could post on his portfolio, because
exactly.
a lot of the rappers show us love. There was invites to the show, invites to studio sessions, stuff like that. So him getting that footage would be beneficial to him, so I would like to bring him along. So
your Kicks of Chicago, back to this business that's proven to be successful and profitable and beneficial for your learning as an entrepreneur and a business owner, and also just even adding value to your college education. Do you feel like your business is ready to sell again? I mean, do you think that Kicks of Chicago is ready to be, sold, and then you pocket that money and invest it and, move on to your next venture, which is what you're doing right now? Or do you still feel like Kicks of Chicago can be a, cash cow for you?
I would personally still want to keep it.
Okay.
For a number of reasons. First, I am graduating soon, so I kind of want to have something to do that's not just like investing the money or whatever. Something that like I know I can still grow, because I think I can still grow Kick Chicago in different avenues. There's still more, like obviously I want to get to the point where like I'm designing my own silhouette from scratch. So learning the manufacturing stuff from the other brands is going to translate over to Chicago. Long term is the plan that like I'm doing my own silhouette, and when I do my own silhouette, I can paint those silhouettes. I can sell silhouettes, so I have control of the supply chain. It's more like a vertical integration where like I don't have to rely on Nikes. People can just wear my stuff casually. I can have my own colorways, like, but I'm not doing the work. It's all made. All I'm doing is marketing, but I already have the platform because I grew to Chicago to this level already. So it's stuff like that that like I know there's still more I can do with this brand. I want to do more until I either burn out. I'm not innovating.
Don't say that. You don't want to burn out.
But not burn out, but you get the idea. Where like I'm burned down. Where like I don't want to do this anymore.
Yes.
Because I still love doing it. So I'm gonna keep doing it until I like essentially don't love doing it, or like I don't want to do it anymore, or I think there's bigger opportunities for me. But Kick Chicago definitely doing. I'm still doing it. I don't want to sell it for those reasons and stuff like that. And then obviously there's so much stuff I can do with Broken Order. I can get into accessories. I can also do kind of collab with the shoe stuff, have a Broken Order shoe, a Kick Chicago shoe, or whatever. I could even, start a retail space, having both in one confinement, stuff like that. There's just so much I can do with it. Like,
wow, you have like big ideas.
It's so versatile. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just so versatile because it's literally just fashion at this point.
I mean, you're talking about like retail. You're talking about having a retail storefront, like a physical location.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff. Like, why sell it when it's like just hitting its stride, I would say.
So what before I get to my last question, what model are you looking at that's helping you think about this in such a broad way? Is there a brand that you're looking at? I'm not talking about like Nike and Louis Vuitton and Gucci. Like, are there, small or mid-market brands that you see? And it would be so easy to say, yeah, I want to be like Supreme. I mean, everybody would say that, right? But are there other brands that are doing what you're doing that are maybe even a little under the radar that you're just like, you know what, that's kind of heading in the direction I want to go?
Yeah, so I'm not looking at like a specific brand, but I've definitely taken the aspects from different brands and trying to combine it into one. So you obviously have the aspect of brands like a Round Two, where it's like a consignment shop where they have vintage and stuff, which is cool, right? But I want to also do stuff like an art studio at the same time, or like having workshops. So I did like my first workshop with some corporate clients, because like literally like last week I went to downtown Chicago and I brought all my like painting and all my materials, all my ropes, and we're literally building shoes with corporate executives in downtown Chicago. So like there's just so much stuff, and I want to bring that aspect of having people build their own stuff, but like teaching. Obviously reselling stuff that's like the Jordans, the thrift, then also selling like the custom work, my own clothes. There's just so much stuff that I see different brands do. Like, why not combine it? Why not have, because like it would just combine so seamlessly, because everything is so related, so many aspects, so many of the same people do the stuff or buy the stuff that I'm doing or could be doing in my in my little utopia. So it's just like you have the Round Twos, you have the art workshops, stuff like that. So taking aspects from that and trying to make it my own.
I love thinking about when I talk to you, all the possibilities of having a concept and giving it legs and building an ecosystem around it. I mean, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have a real challenge with how do they, add more elements to what they're doing where it doesn't take away from the core, passion, right? Or the core idea, the core concept. Like, how do I make this more? And you're thinking about ways to do that. I love, love, love that you're using your ability to teach and share what you know with others and taking it to the corporate space and getting paid for it at the same time. I mean, you cannot come up with a better solution than adding value and giving value. It's just like exactly perfect. You know what I mean? And I think it's fantastic that that's happening. And you could even, this is what people like Sarah Blakey do. They have separate entities set up for speaking, for teaching, for workshops, for going into corporate and doing, private things, nationally and globally. I mean, that's actually a whole separate business that you could be, lining up with your professional brand. you know what I mean? Now that you have this lane of success that you can go to, you know, launching businesses, you know, from creative ideas, it's a really big deal. And I'm just so excited for you. I just like feel like, oh my gosh, I want to go work for Matt Burzec. Can you hire me? I know I'm like, it sounds crazy, but I'm like, I love it. I love it. So, I want to ask you about technology. The last time we talked, you had some ideas about what you wanted to see in the future, which were really interesting because what you said you wanted to see actually has come to fruition. You wanted to come up with a way to diagnose things virtually so people didn't have to go to hospitals and doctors. And I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what happened. You know, right now we're in this like super powered age of using things like ChatGPT and other AI tools. And I don't necessarily want you to weigh in on those tools or what you think about them or what is the moral implication if you're using it or if you're using these things in college. But I am kind of curious, have you looked at any of these tools in terms of how they could, you know, complement or grow or scale your business? Have you used anything in the space of artificial intelligence with your own creative ideas? Or are you just kind of like, not really, because I need to give my space, my brain a place to create on its own? Like, what are your thoughts around? Because you're a creative person. Creative people can really do a lot more with some of these AI tools.
Yeah, so obviously I've used like ChatGPT for like assignments or whatever, right? And just like to, you know, get better answers online for like questions I have, like even like in you know, some of the stuff for my business, but I haven't used it in like any way to like directly use with my business. So I've used it for like to ask it like, you know, basic like school questions and stuff like that or whatever. But I haven't yet used it only because I don't want to really burn that creative because I don't want to become dependent on it in a sense.
I love it. And so let me
So
ask you this question. I love that you said that because my final question is, I think about the story you told me when you were a little boy in Catholic school and you created something and you sold some things and made money every week. And yes, the Catholic school shut you down because you can't market in the school, but you had the space to create and use your imagination to make something. And I feel like what's happening now with some of the younger people is they're so captive by social media that they're not maybe having the opportunity to do what you did, which is to create things, you know. And I know that you're still a really, really young person, but you have maturity now, right? Because you're in
yeah,
college, but you're still not that far away from the young budding creative mind. What would you say to a really young person, or how would you help them realize that when they're spending so much time looking at social media and not creating, that it actually is maybe taking away their opportunity to become Matt Burzec, right? To actually come up with their own ideas. Like, how do you talk to a young person to say, these are just tools, but don't use them too much unless you're using them to create? Like, what's your philosophy around that? Because I was listening to a podcast recently and somebody was saying, you know, we probably have, you know, 100 Einsteins, but we can't find them, we can't see them because they've been captivated by social media.
yeah. So obviously I personally uh I'm on social media a lot, and just because like I've you know I gotta go switch through the pages, always answer questions on social media, always got to be posting. But my whole thing is like if I see something I like, I save it, and then like yesterday, for example, I had like a brainstorming day where like I was take all the ideas that I screenshot throughout the week, and I was just like, which of these ideas do I want to do? Like for example, I saw like someone do like a denim pair of forces from scratch, right? I was like, I could customize with denim. So then I did research on denim fabrics and Louis V denim and stuff like that that I want to use that I'll later like probably do for some like big name in the future, right? So you want to take the ideas, make sure you're saving them, right? Because it's so easy to just keep scrolling. So you definitely need to save it, but also you need a time because a lot of people save stuff to their phone, but they don't give themselves time to look back at the stuff. And I make sure like at least every 2 weeks I'm cleaning out my camera roll, looking at all the stuff that I saved and all the stuff that like I need, don't need, and it's always like, you know, I started making albums in my camera roll just to, like for ideas, marketing ideas, product ideas, design ideas, just so I'm more organized. So I'm actually gonna do the stuff that I see on social media. So it's social media taking my time, and people always use the excuse that like, oh, I'm getting inspired and all this stuff. Yeah, you're getting inspired, but it don't mean anything unless you actually put it into work. So now I make sure I give myself kind of that time to, you know, do the stuff that I want to do, but also just don't procrastinate, because like that's the killer. Social media is just another tool to procrastinate. So like if you're not procrastinating, then you're actually using the stuff that you claim to be using through social media. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw like a design, I was like, all right, I want to do this design for my next collection, but obviously the broken order vibe to it, and that's what I did. And it's just like there's just so much stuff to distract you. You just got to make sure you're focused. At least you give yourself a day to focus on what's important.
I love it. Oh my gosh, you are so amazing. I'm really glad you shared that strategy. I'm actually going to think about putting my camera roll and making folders as well. I didn't even think about doing that. And I love that you said one of the challenges for all of us creators that we don't always go back and look at the things that inspired us. Like we just keep scrolling. So you know what, Matt, this is so great. I'm so glad to reconnect with you. I feel like, oh my gosh, you're so creative and so amazing. I'm delighted to have seen your growth. I love following you. I mean, everybody needs to follow Matt Burzec. And I love Kicks of Chicago. Would you suggest that that's the best place for people to see what you're up to? Or do you have other channels you want people to go to now? Like what's your like send people here?
I always send them to either Kicks Chicago or my personal page, because in my bio I have my link tree. I have all the stuff that I've been doing. You see all the celebrity photos. You see all the trips. You see all the, you see my broken order page. You see my Kicks Chicago. I got my link tree.
So that's your Matt Burzec. That's your Matt Burzec page.
Yeah, and then my link tree is in like Kicks Chicago as well. So if you want to see everything, just go to that link tree in either my Matt Burzec profile or Kicks Chicago profile, and you can see like literally everything we've been doing.
I'll put that in the show notes. Listen, Matt, thanks for this wonderful conversation. Everybody needs to check out Matt Burzec, and you've got to listen to episode 39 of the Honest Field Guide podcast, because you can see his real big digital transformation, his mental transformation, his, even his physical transformation, for God's sakes. When he was really a lot younger, 3 years is a long time for when you're your age. So listen, thanks so much for coming. Everybody, please follow the show. Check it all out. I am JinJa.
I am Matt.
And we'll see you next time.